All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming. I have the distinct privilege and pleasure to moderate the special event that we're hosting this afternoon. The event is co-sponsored by Utah Rare Undiagnosed, as well as the Pediatric Interest Group here at University of Utah. We have a number of special guests with us today. Before I introduce our panel of speakers, I'd like to recognize Ava Szajnuk, who with the Pediatric Interest Group organized today's event. Gina is the co-founder and executive director of Utah Rare Undiagnosed, Bruns. Let me invite Gina to come up and just say a few words as well of welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Carey. I also wanted to thank everybody that is hosting us today, and is Andrew Carey, raise your hand, Leslie, Claire, and Samantha, and Bradley, and Madison, and your advisor, is he here too? She can make that. Okay, so they're done, put my paper away. I just wanted to thank you all for coming. This is one of my favorite events that Run does every year, and like you said, I'm the co-founder of the Rare Undiagnosed Network, and my husband is the assistant general manager of the Utah Jazz, so we have a lot of jazz pictures in our slides. So, and my daughter is speaking for our family. I've officially passed the torch to Ava, and it was interesting this morning because her title was Pushed Through, and Ava woke up with a double ear infection, and I took her to the doctor this morning, rushing when we had the day plan for this, and the doctor said, really impressive how bad her ear infections were, that it took her this long to realize that she had an ear infection. It was very impressive for the pediatrician. So her title Pushed Through is pretty perfect for her. So I'm going to officially pass the torch to my daughter, and what, honey? Oh, I'm passing the torch back to you to introduce Ava. Thank you. Thank you all for being here.
So the themes today for the medical students and healthcare professionals, really the charge of today, are twofold. One, connecting with the journey and the plight of persons and families with rare and undiagnosed disorders. And second, listening to, quotes, our patients, close quotes. In particular, listening to their story. Regarding the first, in the United States, as defined by the National Institutes of Health, rare diseases are defined as a condition that occurs in less than 1 in 200,000 people. In pediatrics, that transfers to a prevalence of about 1 in 2,000. So conditions that the students learned in Dr. Jordy's course, neural tooth defects, NF1, osteogenesis imperfecta, all of them would clearly qualify under that cloak. Our second charge, listening to the patients. Oh, I forgot to mention, sorry. The undiagnosed is actually a special group in the rare, and many of you may be familiar with the fact that we actually do have an undiagnosed disease program at the University of Utah. We were just recently funded by the National Institutes of Health. We're now one of the 10 centers outside of the NIH that actually see families, children and adults with undiagnosed conditions. Dr. Botto is not able to be here today. He's the director because he's back in Italy with his father for his father's 90th birthday. But we were hoping he'd actually be able to panel today. For the second of our two charges, that is listening, I would actually call listening to our patients as the centerpiece of empathy and empathy's older and wiser sister, compassion. There is a body of literature in recent years that suggests that rather than just taking the medical history in a systematic way, that if we just let the person tell their story, we're usually able to glean most of what we need to know in the history taking by asking questions after they've told their story. So, and listening has some therapeutic and healing effects that have actually been quantified in the medical literature. So without further ado, let us proceed with our guests. And I think what we'll do is, well, each of the guests come up, and then at the end, everyone will come up. And because we want to leave at least 10 minutes for questions for the students and healthcare professionals to be able to ask. So Ava, can I invite you to come up? So, as you know, Ava is also Gina's daughter, and I'll let her proceed at this point.
Hi, my name is Ava Szajnuk. Thank you for joining us today to learn about what it is like to live with a rare undiagnosed disease. I am undiagnosed. My mother and my 2 siblings are also undiagnosed. Together we like to say that we live in a diagnostic odyssey times 4. We have been seen or communicated now with geneticists at 9 different institutions in 7 different states. We have been through the NIH's Undiagnosed Disease Network and still do not have a diagnosis, a treatment, and a cure. We are officially undiagnosed. I am now 11 years old, and I have already been through 8 years of living in a world of the unknown, which really means the world of constant pain and fatigue. I've had 4 cranial brain surgeries, and I am shunt dependent. I almost lost my vision and my life during the summer of 2013 to a subdural hygroma. If it wasn't for my mother and father refusing to leave during our 9th or so visit to the ER, I would not be here today. I wish that being shunt dependent was the least of my worries. Unfortunately, it is not. I live with an undiagnosed autonomic neuropathy, which is what controls everything we do naturally: breathing, digestion, motility, heart rate, and temperature. I suffer from fatigue and pain every single day, but I push through. My younger brother, Oscar, and my sister, Lucy, also suffer from fatigue and pain. My mother actually received a doctor's note this week to stop everything and focus on her health, as she is very sick. She perseveres just like us. When you look at the 4 of us, can you see our sickness? No, you cannot see how sick we are. We want to advocate for chronic and invisible diseases as well. We understand that we are very blessed to be high functioning, and I think my brother and sister are pretty cute kids. However, we are suffering. We are not making it up so we can stay home from school. We do not want to quit the basketball team or the swim team because we cannot make it to the practices. We want to do all the things that healthy children get to do. We have no future promise of finding out the root cause of our diseases. We have been told that we are 20 plus years ahead of science. The question that bothers me the most is, will I suffer in pain for the next 20 plus years? I hope you consider being a geneticist or a genetic counselor. You are the future for our undiagnosed rare disease community. You are my future. You are my brother and sister's future. We need your help. We need your expertise. We also like to say that all rare diseases were once undiagnosed. Many children and adults are born and thought to be healthy, and one day their lives change in an instant. Rare disease will touch your life at some point. It could be your mom, your dad, your friend, or even your child. I know all of you in this room are aware of the Hippocratic Oath, an oath, as future physicians, you will take. The Cliff Notes version, translated accurately or not, says first, do no harm. In the world of rare and undiagnosed diseases, sometimes doctors do harm with their lack of empathy, curiosity, or drive to figure out the problem patients. I've been in the ER several times when all of my blood work and my quick MRI come back normal. I'm still in pain. I'm still monolite. When the doctor mentioned psych, I was angry. If I say I do not feel well, I mean it. I should not have to prove myself over and over again. I know physicians are taught to look at horses, not zebras. However, I'm not even a zebra yet. I do not fit into any of the boxes in the history of medicine. I'm Ava Szajnuk. I'm undiagnosed. I would love for the doctor to spend 2 hours in my body and tell me if they've been able to handle it for 20 plus years. What I do want to express to everyone in this room is that I'm not just sitting here complaining or sleeping the days away. I found a place in my heart and in my brain to push through the pain and focus on my reading, my artistic talent, and my love of watching movies. Every day I wake up and I know what to expect. I can either be mad at the world or just go with the flow. It is what it is, and this is my one body that God gave and my parents gave me. I am persevering. I am not going to give in to my disease process. I've even started to advocate for the undiagnosed in our community through Bruns MBA initiative, and I was blessed with the opportunity to sit on the floor of the House of Representatives this past month for HB 211, a rare disease advisory council with the Representative Lee Perry. I want to use my voice to help other children that do not have a voice and will never be able to say the word mother or to run around and play. I truly hope the next time or your very first time you meet someone that doesn't feel well and you cannot see it, you will listen with compassion and you will tell them that you believe them. I hope you will say that you will do everything in your power to help them. How you treat patients outside of the science is crucial to giving hope to these families living in the world with the rare undiagnosed. Today, I would like to share the experiences of two of my undiagnosed older role models that have continued to battle an undiagnosed rare disease. Lachey Hamblin has been battling an undiagnosed rare disease now for 4 years. You cannot see her disease process. Her mother wrote, "We have a diagnosis of POTS and mast cell, but as for the why, there is no answer. As for the life yet to live, there is still only the unknown. The normal dreams and aspirations are gone. We are left with the struggle to enjoy just moments as the world plans their future." Rachel Newsom has been battling an undiagnosed disease now for years. Mother put a list together of what are the problems for patients living with an undiagnosed rare disease. The list is even longer than what we can fit onto our slide. My favorite, and the one that I most agree with, is number 4, constant ridicule and questioning because people have never heard about the diagnosis, therefore it can't possibly be serious. As I begin to end my speech, I would like to dedicate today to 2 very special people in my life. The first is Shauna and Brook, who passed away from late infantile Batten disease on March 15, 2014. She passed away only 2.5 months after turning 6 years old. I just about lost my life only 1 month past my 6th birthday. She would have been 11 years old today, the same age as me. The second person that I would like to dedicate today to is Steve Trummer. Our Steve was born on January 15, 1957. He passed away on February 4, 2019. He lived 30 plus years as an undiagnosed rare disease patient. May he rest in peace. In closing, I would just like to say that some people ask, why do you hurt? And I say, if you knew that, I would already be cured. Imagine it like every normal person was a brilliant blue sky, and I am a raging hurricane heartbeat. Thank you.
Thank you, Ava, and we'll have a chance to ask everyone questions at the end. So if you have any questions for Ava, just make a note of emails as we proceed. So let me introduce Ethan. See that Andrew's putting the mic on Ethan now, and we'll have him come up as well.
So, when I was 8 years old, I suddenly got sick, and it seemed like I had the stomach flu. I laid on the couch, and anything that I ate came right back up. It's hard to get up and walk around, taking all my strength just to even get out of bed. The next day, I wasn't much better. I was far worse. I'd gone from so good to so terrible in such short time, which started to worry my family. So, it seemed like a normal thing, something everyone gets, but it seemed like the normal flu or whatever, but with one main exception. My urine had blood in it. My mom scheduled a doctor's appointment, but it would have to wait until the next morning. So I went to bed feeling terrible and not being able to do anything except lay there. The next morning I was worse. I was yellow and yellow and could barely stand. I went to the doctor's office and they took samples and told us straight to go to Primary Children's Hospital. I went to the ER and after some testing, they found I was dehydrated. My kidneys were functioning below 5%. My liver was failing, hence the jaundice look. Within another week, organs like my heart and lungs would probably begin to fail. I was going to have to be admitted. They took more samples and would wait to see what I had. In the meantime, I had to get a catheter in my neck and be on dialysis. This went on for 2 weeks before I very luckily got a diagnosis. The disease I had was called AHUS, an ultra-rare disease, which stands for atypical hemolytic uremic syndrome. What that means is that my immune system would begin to attack my red blood cells, which made them break apart and clog my kidneys, which soon started a chain reaction that ended with my organs shutting down. Less than 3,000 people have in the United States. Luckily, 1 year earlier, a drug called Soliris was approved. It turns off part of my immune system, preventing my system from attacking itself. I was put on it immediately, and pretty soon I was perfectly fine. It had done wonders. But it was not a one-time thing. I go back and get the drug every 2 weeks for an IV infusion. I spent a month in the hospital and another 2 months at home to recover. And I'm told that not once I did complain. It wasn't because I couldn't bear to add more problems to my parents. It was because I was fine with it. As long as I kept up on my treatments, I would be fine. I consider myself lucky. I could have ended up far worse. I'm still able to walk, talk, and my kidneys have recovered and organs have recovered fully. I take 9 pills every day and go to the hospital every 2 weeks for life, and I'm okay with that. You could say that my new motto for life would be just roll with it. Life will throw everything it has at you, so go along with it and make things easy. I've had this condition for 6 years now, and I will continue to have it for the rest of my life. So what's the point in complaining and throwing a fit? It'll only cause more problems for you and others. Having AHUS has made me realize that the way you look at life is important, because no matter what obstacle each of us will face, the only thing that we can control is our attitude towards it. I guess a word that you could use to describe my attitude would be resilient. The word resilient means the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. It's not easy, and it does get hard sometimes, but if I can get sick, go to the hospital and walk out 30 days later with a rare disease and be happy, then I can make it through the little challenges that I face in life. Not everyone will have a rare disease, but we'll all have problems with assignments, getting into college, finding a job, everything that life will throw at us to try to bring us down. And if you can be resilient and just look at that one positive thing in life and focus on it, then you can do anything.
Even thank you for your wisdom, but also thank you for your writing for both of you, the composition and presentation. Thank you. So our next presenter will be Steffani, and I'll let her get the mic up here too.
Okay, well, my name is Steffani, and I am the vice president at a nonprofit foundation called CCD Smiles. I also have craniofacial dysplasia, but we'll call it CCD for short. It is a skeletal disorder with lots of characteristics, but there are 3 main ones. We're born with a really large soft spot that covers the top of our head that will harden and fill in as you get older. We also are born without collarbones, or like a short collarbone. I actually have a floating collarbone. Some people can fold themselves in half. It's a cool party trick. And also, probably the main thing we deal with is all of the dental abnormalities. It's a genetic birth defect caused by mutations to the RUNX2 gene, and it occurs 1 in every 1 million births. But we are finding that it's way more than that. We already have found 29 people in Utah with CCD just since we started our nonprofit foundation 2 years ago. And it can be passed from an affected parent, or it can be a spontaneous case, which is what I have. My parents don't have it. So my story, when I was actually 12 years old, I still haven't lost any of my baby teeth. And my dentist thought, well, why don't we just pull all of your front teeth and then your permanent teeth will come in. And so my first year of junior high, my dentist pulled my front teeth, top and bottom, and my permanent teeth didn't come in. And he was perplexed. Why are your teeth not coming in? They're supposed to come in. That's what teeth do. Well, they didn't. And at that time, we didn't know a lot about CCD. It was so rare. So I had 3 years of appliances in my mouth and 8 years of braces. We were able to find an orthodontist that loved complicated cases, and he did whatever he could to figure out my mouth. I also had 8 oral surgeries, which were expose and bond surgeries. They attached chains to my permanent teeth that were impacted, and they slowly pulled them in. I also had lots of supernumerary teeth that were impacted. They kept forming late into my teenage years. I also had a jaw realignment surgery, which was a pretty big surgery. So my treatment began when I was the age of 12 and it ended when I was 23. So all of my teeth that I have today were pulled in manually with chains. It was very painful. So I have 3 daughters and only one has CCD. Hallie, stand up and wave at them. She's right up here. So when Hallie was born and diagnosed, I knew right away that we needed to start her dental journey soon. And because I had lived it firsthand, I knew that I needed to find an orthodontist that would listen. A lot of dental professionals have the theory, well, let's just wait and see. Let's just wait a while, those teeth should start moving in, it's just taking you longer. Well, that's just delaying the inevitable. The teeth will not come in on their own. And so we were able to start her dental journey when she was 9 years old, instead of being 12 years old and in junior high. And I make sure she knows that it's good to be different, it's okay to be different, and she's beautiful. With starting so young, she has had to overcome a lot of anxiety. It's scary to have surgery. It's scary to have your teeth pulled in manually, and it hurts. So this was after Hallie's first surgery. They removed 8 baby teeth. They attached chains to 4 of her permanent teeth, and they removed 2 supernumerary teeth, but 9 more have formed since she was 9 years old. She has a cute toothless grin in 2015, ready for 4th grade, which is a better age than in junior high. Her older sister is just a year and a half older than her, but you can see there's such that height difference. And then this is a picture of Hallie getting her treatment. So Hallie has had 3 surgeries. She goes to the orthodontist once a month, and they pull her teeth. And it hurts, and there's tears, and by everyone, by her, by mom and dad, by the nurses. But Dr. Benjamin Branson has been a miracle for us, and he is super patient, and she's slowly overcoming that anxiety. Hallie's 12 years old now, in her first year of junior high, and because of the knowledge that we had, that we knew what was going to happen, she was able to enter junior high with 8 of her permanent teeth in place. With a lot of confidence, and we still have a long road to go, but we are thrilled with her progress. CCD Smiles is the first and only nonprofit foundation to help people with cleidocranial dysplasia. We bring global awareness. We provide assistance for dental care. We support research. We bring people together and we advocate for insurance companies to cover medically necessary dental treatment, which they currently do not. Dr. Kelly Wasnick, she's in this picture with me. She is the founder of CCB Smiles. She's the first person that I ever met with CCB besides my daughter, and I was also the first person that she met. And meeting someone that's like you for the first time there's no words to explain it, because you automatically just know without saying anything what that person has been through. And it's definitely life-changing. So last July, we had the first CCB Smiles conference in Salt Lake, and we had 125 people with CCB from around the world come, and it was such a life-changing weekend. So, that kid who plays Dustin on Stranger Things, do we have that video? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Told you a million times, but keep her coming in. It's called cleidocranial dysplasia.
Okay, so who here has not seen Stranger Things? Okay, you guys have to go watch it. Dustin is everyone's favorite character, and he also, he has cleidocranial dysplasia. His name is Gaten Matarazzo, and he talks about it in season 1, episode 1 of Stranger Things. And it's because of him and his big heart, and him using his platform for good, that CCB Smiles is where it is today. Gaten's dad contacted Kelly just over 2 years ago and wanted to be involved with CCB Smiles. So they flew out to Utah for the first time, and we got to meet with them, and that's where everything started. It became a 501c3 just over 2 years ago, and the opportunities that we've had through that in bringing people together, just spreading awareness, have been incredible. And that's really because of Gaten Matarazzo, who has helped us tremendously. And Gaten gets to say that Gaten is one of her best friends, lucky girl. So I just want to say in closing that having a rare condition, it makes us special, it makes us unique, but it is hard. And do I wish that sometimes I could take away Hallie's pain? Yes. Do I wish that some of the things I still have to deal with, that I could take those away? Yes. There's so many trials that come with CCD and really any rare disorder or undiagnosed disorder. But really what it boils down to is that gives us compassion and empathy on a level like no other, and that really is what this world is in need of. And thank you for listening to my story.
Thank you, Stephanie, for that wonderful heartfelt account. And when you mentioned the 1 in a million occurrence of CCD, it reminded me that I forgot to mention the film 1 in a Million. Maybe some of you are familiar with that film, of which University of Utah had a significant role in producing. The family tells their story, and they actually did come through the undiagnosed disease program. So it's easy to Google it. I think it's about 12 minutes long, and it's 9 minutes, and it's quite moving. A 1 in a million story. Gina.
And we are honored and blessed with the presence of August, who is the mother in the film. I didn't know that you saw her when she came in.
Oh, well,
So,
thank you.
for being here
thank
today
you for coming
and
too.
sharing.
So that was a timely coincidence that I had to welcome back. Of course, you were up on the platform and you showed the movie, but I didn't get to be shown. Dr. Bada was invited today, but I didn't say that. So. So let me invite the Binghams up to relate their story of Tosh.
Yeah, we can just pass the mic back. Dr. Carey didn't want to give up the mic.
Hi everybody, so I'll introduce us. My name is Shauna Bingham. This is my husband, Brook Bingham. We have two amazing boys. Koa is 12, he's our oldest, and Tosh is 7, and he's who we're going to talk about today. I wanted to thank you kids, Ava and Ethan. Like, thank you for sharing your stories. She's in the back. Thank you for your courage, and you will make an impact on this world, so thank you. And then Howley, oh my gosh. Okay, so I have adult braces, and I only had them 6 months, and I complain, and I promise you, I will no longer complain about my good braces. So, thank you for who you are, and you are brave and strong, and if I could just have a little bit of that, man, my 6 months would be a lot better. So thank you. And then to you students, we just really want to acknowledge you, and thank you for being here. And because of you and your hard work and dedication, for studying and becoming a doctor, all those endless hours, you really do impact and make a difference for families like us, and really do give us hope, whether our kids are undiagnosed or diagnosed. So thank you. And we are going to break this up into a few different sections, and I will start first. So life before diagnosis. After our son Tosh was born, nothing was really noticeably different. Tosh was healthy, happy, normal. However, as time went on, we did notice something different. His limbs would give out. He'd fall all over, and it was like balance issues. And I just knew as his mom, like, something was different. He would really collapse for no reason. So I took him into our pediatrician, and the pediatrician listened to me and recommended, okay, something is different. Let's go have you meet with some specialists at primaries. So over the next 4 years of his life, we saw specialists, 10 to 12, various doctors, multiple genetic tests, MRIs, spinal taps, EMGs, and a lot of blood tests. This was very difficult and left us feeling helpless, confused, and without answers. Lots of tears, struggles, sleepless nights, and added stress to the entire family. As a parent, you really do just want what's best for your child.
Yeah, I'm Brooke, Tosh's dad, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about the next phase, which is discovery. So, fortunately for Tosh and for our family, the Penelope program was relatively new and in its infancy. Our team of physicians were aware of our journey, obviously, and our case was of interest due to Tosh's current undiagnosed state. So Tosh was a bit of a mystery, medically speaking. We kept going to all these different specialists and couldn't find out anything. We met with our team of doctors, and they were able to explain to us what this new phase meant, so what that journey was going to look like. It allowed us to gain a better understanding. It gave us something that we felt was running a bit dry. Which was hope. We had, I'll say it again. Hope of an answer. All right. So as a parent of an undiagnosed child, the thought of there being light at the end of this tunnel is huge. It's an absolute paradigm shift in how we experience this whole journey. Our sleepless nights were about to change from sleepless because we were so worried and so upset to being full of sleepless because we were so excited. And what we were about to discover. All the doctors in the Penelope program, and so many more, too many more to list really, were so helpful, so compassionate. They said what you mentioned earlier, Dr. Carey, they listened. They were so thoughtful and so mindful to be walking us through this whole sequence. The next step before us. And so they explained how we would all be tested, including our oldest son. So all 4 of us would go through the process, we'd all get tested. This was very, very exciting, but somewhat worrisome too, because we could find out potentially what was wrong with us.
So the next phase was the diagnosis. Once the results came back, Dr. Bottle, with the preparation of all his team, Ashley, she's so great, took the time to put all this information in more simple terms, to sit us down and to walk through the results. Tasha's diagnosis is KCNE3, a very rare genetic mutation. Only one other child on the planet was diagnosed at that time. It presents itself as apraxia, ataxia, intellectual delays, speech delays, behavioral delays, etc. By the way, since we first learned about his mutation in 2015, much has changed. At least 20 now, or probably even more, have been diagnosed around the globe. This is a big moment for us. It's a total game changer. This shifts us into a new zone, the second phase. There's so much more exciting discoveries to be had. This gives us so much hope.
And then life after diagnosis. So we get this diagnosis, and our family was really fortunate to be selected to be part of the Penelope program. And subsequently, and because we were so early on in the process, the services were actually all covered. We are so committed that more families that are in a similar situation have that same opportunity. So we want other families to have clarity. We want them to also have an answer, to have a solution, to have resolve, to have hope. Is that word again? Correct. So we decided to host a 5K run, 1 mile walk fundraiser with 100% of the proceeds donated going directly back to the Penelope program to further their amazing work. It's called Tunes for Tosh. The reason it's called Tunes for Tosh is music is something that's very important to our family. It's always kind of been healing. When Shauna was delivering both of our boys, we had music playing in the background for hours and hours and hours. So they came into this world listening to music, and they'll continue to listen to music. So we're hosting our 3rd annual event coming up this August. This process is rewarding in and of itself. You get to be involved, you get to get around and ask help from your friends, from community, from family, from the pediatric program itself up here at the U. Super helpful. After each event, the greatest reward for us is presenting a check back to Dr. Votto and the rest of the team, and the amazing cast of geneticists and everybody up there at the Penelope program. That's a tearjerker. Like, that one's really, really cool because it's, we got to meet the geneticists that found the diagnosis. They kind of make it a reality because they see normal people like us all of a sudden, saying thank you for all that you do and you make a difference. And I think that was, for us, it was empowering. I hope it was for them too. And I said here in the notes that in our first year we could see it in their eyes, like when we were like shaking hands or hugging. It was just like super intense, really cool to see these amazing men and women, very, very brilliant, just putting forth all this effort to help us. One point we'd also like to make, having a diagnosis doesn't give us all the answers. So it's not an end-all, be-all, absolute treatment. There's no fix, oftentimes. And we still have questions. We still have frustrations. We still have concerns. But we have gained a sense of absolute peace and hope, a sense of knowing, and really a sense of ownership to know that Tasha's going to be all right.
And then once again, I kind of addressed this at the beginning, but we really want to acknowledge all you future doctors for your dedication, time, hours and hours of research and study. Without your desire and drive to become doctors, none of this would even be possible for future families. You are a viable tool in this creation of discovering what new and upcoming research lies ahead. This is where your work and efforts become a reality for families like us with rare and undiagnosed kids. Take a minute to really think about it and digest it. It is because of you who will make a significant difference in the world of medical discovery. This is one of the reasons the Penelope program came into medical discovery. This is one, I said that. Our family is so appreciative and honored to be in phase 1, meaning identifying the genetic mutation. We feel you are all lucky enough to be part of the next phases to come, where future medicine could result in a magical shift for these kids with rare diseases and genetic mutations identified with potential treatment. This will be a huge game changer for future families. This yet again gives us so much hope. We are forever grateful for all of you.
So in closing, this is one of our favorite quotes that we came across a couple of years back. The universe gives special needs children to regular everyday parents. You choose to step up and be strong for their child. That special child teaches you life lessons that you never could have anticipated. And throughout your journey together, you learn how to become the parent that your child needs. So together, through awareness, through love and community, we can all have this possibility alive for future families. So thank you all so much for having such an impassioned interest to pursue careers in the world of medicine. It's so important on so many levels. Thank you so much.
I will bring all the other speakers up to the panel. I want to thank both of you for articulating what it means to have the diagnosis, what that did for you, your touch, and then also that there are still challenges after. But I think you did a great job with that balance. There's still challenges after, but what the diagnosis imparted for you. And also, I meant to mention when I introduced you guys that in the next issue of Jordy's book, which genetic counseling students and medical students all use for the next course, the Binghams were able to write a narrative that's actually embedded in the book. So the next edition, the 6th edition, will actually have a lot more family and story narratives from our patients. And so thank you for actually doing that as well. So let's see, everybody is up, and I would now open up the opportunity for anyone in the audience to make a comment or ask a question. I know that all of our families are quite willing to answer any questions that you might come up with. Yes, sir.
Many of you guys referenced doctors that you really appreciated and caretakers that have made a difference in your job. I was wondering what the process was like getting to those relationships with doctors, and if you had to go through physicians that you didn't enjoy working with so much, and what that was like.
As Ava mentioned, we've been to 9 institutions in 6 states and seen over 100 specialists. I have to tell you, the very first one that said we were undiagnosed was back in Chicago, Dr. Nancy Kuntz, who was brilliant, but I wasn't ready to accept undiagnosed. I never heard that term before, so go home and cry. Wake up and say, I'm not accepting that. The bedside manner wasn't the best for me, and then we went to the Mayo Clinic, and again, we met with specialist after specialist, and I wouldn't take the one because the bedside manner wasn't good for me. And I kept saying, and I've said, I'm advocated a lot, that you do keep going to a different one until you get that personal connection. Dr. Carey is a perfect example of a personal connection. I feel like he's a father figure to me. He's very much dedicated to the patient, Dr. Votto. But it took over 100 specialists to get to, I call Team Xanic. And my neurologist right now, Dr. Stacey Clardy, is one of my best friends and advocates for us. My GI is one of my best friends, Dr. Kathy Peterson. I have for her on speed dial, middle of the night. I think I've texted John late at night. I think you have to please be that doctor that we connect with. And we are people, but we are desperate for your help. And you are the key to our future and our children's future. And just remember that, like when you said compassion, we don't want to be on this journey, but we don't have a choice, and you are the key to our lives. So thank you. I hope that answers your question.
Any other comments? Someone wanted to add?
I would just add, really just be with your patients, interact like we all are human beings, and just listen to them, like really listen to them. And I think that can develop into, potential answers.
Yeah, I'll just reiterate to listen, because with Hallie, we went to a couple orthodontists that wouldn't listen to me. And so I found one that listened and finally said, okay, like I believe you, let's do this. So that's what I would say.
Thank you, Steffani. Other questions, comments? Yes, over here.
I think almost all of you touched on hope, and some of you explicitly talked about hope. And I'm just curious, when you feel like there is no hope, how can we as physicians help foster that in a realistic way that doesn't like overshoot, but also acknowledges that we need hope to keep on going?
I was gonna say for us, we have blinders on one disease. We realize that you as physicians have a whole clinic of different diseases that you're seeing. We have blinders focused on one. And so for you, the way we get hope is for you to acknowledge that the disease exists, and also any tidbit of information that you can find to share with us. You know, we don't have access, unfortunately, to journal articles. They're always closed off. So any type of information that you can pass on to us, we spend 24 hours a day thinking about a disease. We realize you have maybe 8 to 10. So if you can share articles, share information, publications, trials, whatnot, it helps us do a lot of the research for you that with our case, we're looking at a new drug, and I took a binder full of paperwork to our physician. We can do the work for you if you can help us have access to it.
From the other side of, and I won't say table because I never sit behind a table, but from the other side, your question was really brilliant. I think we all struggle with that idea of, we call it balance of realism and hope. I'm not sure we have the right continuum there. But that idea of never taking away hope, even in very serious situations. Mother of a child with trisomy 18 where 90% of the kids die before the year, said to me one time, like, I shifted my hope not from that she would go to kindergarten, but that she'd be with us by her first birthday. So I think whatever that is about that magic of not taking away hope, everybody here discussed it. Think about it as you progress into your clinical years. That goes for the genetic counselors as well. There was another question over here.
I have a question for Ava and Ethan. I want to know what school is like for you. Is it hard to manage school and getting your medical help? And what kind of things do your family and your school do to help you with that?
So I have been going to school in 21 days. So I have been very sick lately and not feeling at all well. And as you know, this morning I was diagnosed with the 2 ear infections. And so when we don't feel very well enough to go to school, my mom tells the school that I'm not well enough to go, and I don't go. And sometimes it lasts for a week or 2 days, but most of the time it's a long period of time because I am Ava and I have a lot of stuff. But yeah.
So luckily with how that one drug Soliris, I only have to go every 2 weeks, and I'm able to go to school every day unless I'm sick or whatever, but I'm able to, I guess, function normal, you could say, as long as I go and get an infusion, which does get in the way. If, hey, you want to hang out, now I have to go down to the hospital, but luckily I'm able to go to school normally and stuff, and with my family, they're always supportive, and they always support me through everything. And the school, we inform them saying that, oh, I have this, so if anything happens, here's what to do. But yeah.
I tell you, between the 3 sick kids that we have in our family, we've had a lot of experience with school. Ava, the last 2 years, missed 50% of the school year. Oscar has missed 50% of the school year for the last 2 years. He's doing better this year. But it is different with, it's really that personal connection with the staff. Obviously, they have 504 plans that are for physical, not the IEPs for the brain, because she's still doing very well brain-wise, cognitively. And anyway, I was just going to say we had just quickly one principal that did not believe us. Even though I had all the medical files, bins of medical files, letters from Dr. Carey, she didn't believe us, and Oscar couldn't go. And he has the sensory issues, the motility issues, and the school actually came between Oscar and myself physically went on the call home, and I would sit in the parking lot bawling because I didn't understand why she wouldn't believe me. By March, school starts in August, by March, she came in, called me in the office and said, I believe you, and I'm sorry. And I said, why now? And she said, because I kept emailing, he's going here, he's going here, he's going there, this OT, PT, but it was to the point where, like, she was probably gonna call, Child Protect, thinking that I was making this up and that I'm making my son sick. And she ended up calling Oscar and apologizing to Oscar, and it was then turned around and became our biggest advocate and got him some other special funding for help. So it was really interesting that I think it comes from the principal and down, but I think the communication has to be there constantly. I am emailing Team Zanuck every day with what Ava's doing when she's home. So there's not, I think that is when you have a good staff and you have to trust in them. And then where they are now, that principal, I said, immediately believed us. And she said, I'm here to support you. So it really comes from the school, what the staff is like.
Yeah, that theme of believing and also of listening, all of you brought that out quite eloquently. Other questions? Yes, sir.
I have a question. Thank you so much for being here today. This has been such a wonderful hour. And I'm just wondering, we've been fortunate to hear about both rare diseases that do have a diagnosis and undiagnosed diseases. And I'm just wondering if you could share your thoughts on what it means to have a diagnosis versus not, even if having a diagnosis would really change the prognosis or management. If you could just share your thoughts on that sort of philosophical change.
Yeah, it's a great question. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, you wait all this time, you put all this energy into receiving that diagnosis, because having no diagnosis, you're just always left wondering. You're always left wishing and hoping that there was some sort of miracle pill or answer or something like that. When you finally get it, all that energy and all that hype and all that excitement is there. And then when it's like, okay, well, what's the treatment? Well, for us, there really isn't a treatment. You just treat the symptoms, kind of moving forward. So there's that kind of excitement building up. You get to that moment, and then it's kind of just like a plateau. However, saying that, the confidence and the peace of mind of knowing what the diagnosis is and having that in and of itself overpowers and kind of makes good, makes whole, not being able to have treatment move forward, if that makes sense. So it's an interesting roller coaster ride. Now, for some families, it may be a bit different, obviously. So when they get that diagnosis, and then there could be that treatment. So we're kind of in that phase of, but perhaps there is still something. Perhaps there still is a missing protein, a missing enzyme, something within a dietary aspect that could be changing, something within a stem cell aspect that could help out. So we're still kind of in that mode of maybe there is still, and that's where the hope kind of comes back into play. Even though you hit that plateau, you still have that hope because you still know that science is progressing, technology is progressing. People like you are putting forth all your energy and effort to identify, wow, what if we did this over here and that could change that? So yeah, it's an interesting roller coaster, and it's different for everybody. That's a great question.
Thank you, Brooke. Unfortunately, there's actually a class in here at 1 that I was unaware of, and they're waiting outside, so we're going to have to wrap this up. So we can thank all of our speakers. Thank you guys so much for coming.